Welcome to the podcast, Colts Nation 365. This is episode 9. I'm your host, Zach Boyd. Today we're joined by two very special guests, Vance and Warren from Colts Corner. How you guys both doing today?
Doing great.
I'm good.
Man,
Appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, man, we're super excited to have you. So we'll just jump into it. $1 million question. What the hell's going on with Andrew Luck right now?
Man, I'll tell you what. Through this whole offseason and everything, we heard that he had a calf strain, and then we started talking about Kevin Durant and his Achilles and everything and thinking it's worse than what it is. But after the Peyton Manning neck era and the Andrew Luck shoulder era, I feel like the Colts are just letting out a little bit more than what we need to know, just to keep us, content and not ruin our trust. But, I really think that Andrew Luck's going to be there for week 1. It just really sucks for guys like Funchess and Campbell that haven't been able to receive passes from him. But when it comes down to it, week 1, he's going to be ready to go. And I think actually Vance can touch more on this.
Yeah, from what I saw on Twitter, my understanding is that it's this condition where it's caused by trauma and it likely happened during season, but it takes a while for the actual little bone to build up. So they're thinking it could be that. I don't know I know the name, I just don't know how to pronounce it. And it sounds normal. I mean, there's a doctor on Twitter, an NFL doc for 17 years, that said he's treated it before. It sounds like Ryan Deem had it and it wasn't an issue. I mean, I'm sure he'll play regular season. It's just one of those things where his case is different. If he was healthy his whole career, I'm sure he'd be practicing with this. I mean, that's sure. Because if you look it up on what it is, the treatments for it is icy hot and ibuprofen. And if it's not that, it could be a contusion, which is also something that never gets reported because it hurts, but it's not a severe injury. It's not something that's going to really mess you up long term. So I think it's the reason why it's getting handled the way it is specifically because it's Andrew Luck. He's played through injuries. It didn't work out. They don't want to do it again. They want to protect the quarterback, and I mean they're being extra cautious. If it was like Russell Wilson, I feel like he'd be out there practicing just because the injuries aren't there.
Yeah, you guys feel like that Jim Irsay leaked this out on purpose, or you just think that's just Jim being Jim?
I think he did. I think because he knew what he was talking about, but he didn't give enough. Where you were still asking questions like, what is a small bone issue really mean? So he does that quite often, actually. If you pay attention to kind of you think it's kind of bullshit sometimes. Maybe he's been drinking or something, but he actually gives you little nuggets of information that you're like, well, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird, man. I was feeling in my calf, and I was thinking, man, I don't really feel a bone there, So what the hell's going on here?
It's definitely not something normal, but I mean, it explains everything because it would explain why his MRI came back negative for Achilles tear. It would explain why it's been lingering because it's something that takes a while to build up. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, I guess we'll move on. We're going to do something kind of cool. We're going to do a pick 3. So I'm going to give you 5 wide receivers, and you can only take 3 to make this year's 53-man roster. So we'll go with Reese Fountain, Chester Rogers, Marcus Johnson, Deion Kane, and Zach Pascal. Vance, you started off.
I'm going to go with Fountain first, just because he's been playing great, and I think he's really proven himself. And then my next guy would be Deion Kane. I think there's a lot of potential there. And I'm excited to see what all he can do being back from his injury. And then the last one's going to be Pascal, just because Andrew Luck and him had a nice connection last year. So I'd like to keep that on the team.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head there with Fountain. He has been playing out of his mind all training camp. And not only that, but he'll after practice, he goes in, they interview him. What are you going to do? I mean, I got a lot of film to watch. I got to do this. I got to do that, which is awesome. I mean, I appreciate that. Even if he is a step behind where he was drafted, what we thought he was going to be. Now, I think Deion Kane's going to make the team. He's been making some solid plays, but his knee looks like nothing happened. He's playing like he should. I'm actually really excited about Kane. When we drafted him, we got him late. Saw him in college and thought he was a special receiver. So I'm really excited about him. I'm going to have to go with Chester Rogers on the third one, though, because experience. The guy has played. He knows the speed of the game. He's been there. He's caught passes. So is Pascal, but Rogers has been with the team, and Rogers has played a lot more. As far as I know, he wasn't traded to the team last year like Pascal was, and I think unfortunately Marcus Johnson, big fan of his, but he's going to be a practice squad guy. But I think somebody will pick up Pascal and Johnson throughout the season.
Yeah, one thing about Pascal is he's really, really valuable in special teams.
Yeah.
When it comes down to, cutting him, I think that may give him a chance to still make this team if we keep 6. Had George Brimmer on last week, and he said Nick Sirianni alluded to they were looking into keeping 6. I guess if I had to go 3, gun to my head, I would go Pascal, Kane, and Fountain. From just Rodgers, I don't see Rodgers having any higher ceiling. He's a solid player, but I think the other guys have a little more upside moving forward. So that's just me. We'll move on to the next thing. Who's the season's toughest opponents this year? Who do you see? I'll go with KC just because we got our ass kicked last year, and I think that's the game we want to recover from. What do you guys feel like?
Well, I mean, you got to go with some of the big dogs in the league. Of course, Kansas City is going to be one. That they were tough to stop, but I think that had a lot to do with our offensive line getting beat, T.Y. Hilton being tired, and he just looked wore out there. But at the same time, our defensive line didn't really step up either. So that I'm just making excuses at this point for that. The Falcons are going to be huge. We can't, we got to stop Julio, Devontae Freeman. Their defense isn't all that great, but at the same time, their offense is high powered. I mean, it really is. And the Saints. I mean, you got the highest paid receiver in the history of the league, and a quarterback that can throw the ball and make sure it gets to the receivers. He's been to a couple Super Bowls, and hell, he beat us. Back in 2009. So. I think our toughest games are going to be some of those outsiders there, the Saints, the Falcons, and and then the Chiefs, of course.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with one of them. I'm going to throw in a couple others, though, just because the Steelers, I mean, we suck against the Steelers. It's no secret. They've got our number, and since Manning joined the team, our record against them has been awful. So that's another game that I don't expect to be easy. And then the division games, I don't think people say we're locked to win our division this year, but I don't see it as much as people like.
We're never locked. We've proven that.
Yeah, but our division this year is tough. I mean, the Texans should be better than they were last year. They were a tough team last year as well. The Jaguars think they have their quarterback. And we saw the way they played when their quarterback was playing hot. They went to the AFC Championship. The Titans, I mean, they have a good coach. He's doing big things over there. I think that's the team I'm least worried about is the Titans, but they have a good roster. But like you said, the Falcons are going to be a tough game. I mean, that's a solid squad when it's healthy. Chargers week 1, we don't even know if Luck's going to be healthy for it. That's not going to be a fun way to start the season. Chiefs, everyone saw what they did to us last year. But those division games are going to be huge for us because really the Colts need to get home field advantage in the playoffs if we want to do anything. And I'm not sure if we're going to be able to lock it up this year.
Yeah, man, interesting you said something about the Steelers. I don't know what the hell we got to do to beat the Steelers, but, it would just be nice to get that W against them. It seems like Roethlisberger has massive, massive games, especially if you draft Roethlisberger in fantasy football. He usually torches us every year. Hopefully no AB this year. Maybe that helps that situation. Hey, guys, I just had a question. Give me a couple guys that you're interested and you're most excited to see this year.
Warren, you can go ahead.
As far as the rookies actually are always the most exciting to see for me. Of course, Rocky Sin, he kind of had a rough game in the first preseason game. But I'm excited to see what he can do because, I mean, really, he can take over where Quincy Wilson is supposed to be at. I really believe that. He's making some big plays, but every year, barring injury, my number one player I'm always excited to see is Malik Hooker. The Ohio State product came out, really raised some eyebrows when he first stepped onto the field, got hurt. You know, he's playing through some of those injuries still, but I think this year he's going to have a breakout year, and that's my guy right there. I mean, we're going for 6 picks. Is that fair? Can we do that?
You do whatever you need to do, man.
That's
Because he's not going to have too many opportunities. You know, nobody likes to throw in that no-fly zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
What do you think, Vance?
I don't think Malik Hooker's going to get 6 picks. I'll say that right now. One of my favorite players on the offense is Marlon Mack, and I want to see what he can do a full season healthy because he put up great numbers in the small sample, or not small, but in the sample we got from him last year. So behind that offensive line that's set full 16 games, I mean, I think he could put up some huge numbers. But like Warren said, the rookies are going to be fun to watch too. There's a lot of hype behind Paris Campbell, and the way when we talked to Zach Kiefer, the way he talked about Paris Campbell, like it's hard not to get excited about him. This dude's out there making plays. He's not going to be used like he was at Ohio State, where he's catching 2-yard dump passes and cutting everybody up the field. He's going to be used like a real wide receiver, and his speed and his ability is, I mean, he can do big things. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I'm excited to see Ben Banigou. He's an intriguing player, and they're going to use him in multiple ways, but if he can be a big part of our pass rush, that's going to be fun to watch as well.
Yeah, man, I guess the player I'm most excited to see is Rock. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see that insane pick that he had and just kind of plucked it from Funchess yesterday.
Yeah.
It was awesome. pretty sick. He's going to be one of those guys that, you know, he's going to take his lumps as a rookie, but I really believe we got us one there, man. I mean, he looks the part. He plays the part, and I haven't heard anybody say that he hasn't had a good camp. So should be really, really cool to see him and just our DBs in general this year. We look to have a little bit of depth there. Going to change directions a little bit. Just curious from my viewers, you know, what got you guys into podcasting?
I've actually tried a couple podcasts. I did an NFL one for this thing that we had from the stands, and then we had this like 9 in the first thing we tried. It didn't work. But really how it went down was I have a group of friends that plays Madden and NHL and 2K together. And we just talk sports 24/7. Like, that's all we do. We have a group chat to just talk sports. So, you know, we had a Colts Corner podcast in like 2014 or 2015. Or it was 2016 is when we had it. And we stopped it after like 2 episodes, and then we kind of just brought it back because we started up another thing. We started Third String Sports, and we got Jim Sorgi for an interview, and then we just kind of brought back Colts Corner. I got on Twitter. I started following a bunch of Colts fans. We got a following. We asked questions. I mean, we got a lot of interaction from there, and then it just became Colts Corner. So it was really just a bunch of friends that like to talk sports, and then we were already diehard Colts fans, so it just worked out.
What about you, Warren?
Yeah, I have a future brother-in-law that's bored as hell in New York in the Army, and I was like, hey man, do you wanna like talk Colts football for a while? Yeah, I guess. I mean, I got nothing else better to do either. So Vance brought me on to talk Colts football. We started our first couple ones were rough, well, just like anybody's, you know, and they kind of sucked. And the Sorgy one actually sounded good. You know, we just needed to shorten and, you know, and make it a conversation and make it our own, because I think we tried too hard at first. And we just decided to like it. Like, hey man, let's keep this going. So once Big Heads Media picked us up, we thought, hey, you know, that's a good start, but this is just a hobby. It's nothing that we're, you know, trying to make, national podcasts or anything, but, you know, we'll go as far as the road will take us.
Sounds good, man. It's really cool to have guys like you come on supporting, you know, new podcasters like myself. So big ups to you guys both for coming on the show. And going to jump back into a couple more questions. You guys mentioned Marlon Mack earlier. Frank Reich has said he wants to have a top 5 rushing offense this year. If Marlon Mack, that's a big if he plays 16 games, is he a top 5 running back in the NFL this year?
Warren, you can answer that.
So that's really, really tough. A top 5 running back in the NFL.
So you're going to say no.
I mean, you got to look. Let's look at the top 4. I mean, you got obviously Barkley out from the Giants. You got McCaffrey from the Panthers. He does a lot of running and catching. I mean, those guys are going to be probably number 1 and 2. Kamara from the Saints is always doing big things. Plus, there's no more Mark Ingram anymore, so it's him. And then another wild card that nobody thinks about because of injuries, David Johnson from the Cardinals. He's their only guy on offense. I mean, so you're putting Marlon Mack into these guys that are, most of these offenses. All right. So, and that's not even including Ezekiel Elliott from the Cowboys or Melvin Gordon, who are kind of holding out, may or may not play. If they play, I don't see that. And I don't think Todd Gurley is going to do a damn thing this year. So, a top 5 running back this year, I'm going to have to be on the negative side of that. There's too many names that you have to think about. James Conner, Joe Mixon's going to be huge for the Bengals. I mean, there's going to be a lot of competition up top. So I would say no, he's not going to be a top 5 guy.
That was harsh.
There's too much, man. There's just too many guys that do too much with the ball.
A lot would have to go right for Marlon Mack to be a top 5. And when I say top 5, I mean 5. I don't see 1 through 4 being his spot. I mean, Saquon's number 1. That's just how it is. Unless injury happens. I mean, Gurley should be up there. Like you said, Ezekiel Elliott. I'd expect a lot at Le'Veon Bell, Christian McCaffrey as well.
I didn't even name Bell.
Yeah, those guys are. It's going to be tough to get above those guys, but I don't think top 8 is out of the question, especially with the work he did last year. I mean, if you look at his touchdowns in just a small 12 games, only started 10 of them, he was tied for 7th with 9 touchdowns. I mean, yards per carry, I mean, he was up there with them with 4.9. I mean, he had the same as Todd Gurley, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon. Like, he's up there with those guys. He can put up those numbers. We got the offensive line to help him do it. But we also are we have a committee of running backs that we're going to use. I mean, Hines is going to get playing time. And then our third running back will get playing time as well because we like to mix up the styles. So him being top 5 is going to be really tough. He's going to have to break off a couple big plays. And the big play potential guy is more Nyheim Hines. But with the way he ran last year, I mean, top 8 right there, 5 through 8. I could see him fitting in that slot easily.
Yeah.
Who do you guys think is going to be our third running back, by the way?
I kind of almost feel like that's to be determined. Ballard has really kind of pilfered around for that extra running back off season, and I don't know how Foreman's going to fit into our culture.
He's working his butt off, though. I mean, is he going to kick Wilkins to the corner? I mean,
yeah, that should be interesting. For some reason, Wilkins. I felt like Wilkins got a bad rap. He fumbled in a big moment last year and kind of got in the doghouse, which you just can't do. But I always felt like Wilkins was a very positive runner for us, and he could be a good third guy. But that's really a hard question. That's a great question, actually, and we'll just have to kind of see on that. In reference to Marlon Mack, I think top 10 is more realistic in my mind. I think a guy we didn't even mention was Alvin Kamara. He's also a beast. So I think we can definitely have a top 10 running back this year. We're going to kind of wrap this up. What were your thoughts on the Bills preseason game? What were your takeaways from that?
I personally wasn't too impressed with Jacoby Brissett. I think Walker. I mean,
That's it.
He dropped.
That's what you got.
He just dropped the mic right there. He just said,
No.
Hey, quick question, hot take right here. Just come in my head. I can't help it. Is Chad Kelly better than Jacoby Brissett when the lights are on?
No.
Warren?
Last week he was.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're
I was
on
gonna
here, man.
finish my Bills take. I mean, there was
Go
some
ahead,
stuff-
man.
Oh, okay. Damn. Fountain obviously was a huge plus out of that game, and then like you just mentioned, Chad Kelly. He definitely has some stuff to improve on, but I mean, he's a playmaker. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties earlier, so that's why I was asking if we could hear him. But I think last week definitely Chad Kelly outperformed, but he also was playing against third teamers and practice squad
The
guys.
cuts.
So it's hard to put that together. We'll see. I am a big fan of Chad Kelly. So I cross my fingers that because Brissett's probably not going to stay as a backup next year. Chad Kelly will hopefully win that. So I like his arm. I like his speed. I just like the kid. As far as the game goes, big problems in the run game. We couldn't run the damn ball. Our pass protection sucked. We couldn't really do anything on offense. We got off to a slow start, and I figured right then, obviously we weren't playing our starters and our actual team, but we had some issues that we definitely need to iron out for this Browns team coming in, because I think the Browns actually have a pretty solid base as far as guys coming in that are going to be, fill in guys, offense, defense,
Overrated.
both. So I think after this week, they're overrated as hell. Oh, yeah, here's another betting gem for you. Don't take the Browns for the Super Bowl. Well, you're wasting your money. Just give it to me. I'll take it. But I think they're better built than the Buffalo Bills. So being at home, I think this will be a good test for us, especially practicing with them, kind of seeing what they're going to do. I don't think Freddie Kitchens or Frank Reich are going to pass out the videos to the other teams of what they're doing. So we're going to see some plays this week that we're going to see in the regular season. Reich and Kitchens, they know each other. They're buddies. So this is going to be a really interesting game. I think everybody should saddle up and watch this.
Yeah, man, it's going to be really fun to watch. Getting back to the Bills game, one thing that I really liked, EJ Speed. He had a couple of really nice read and react plays. Like you guys alluded to earlier, the offensive line was just terrible. Now, Frank Reich said after the game that there's communication breakdown for the first half, but still, you're in the NFL, man. You got to block. Other than that, I didn't really like Nate Hairston's play. He got beat in the corner. I feel like I've seen that happen a lot of times with him out there, but it is a preseason game, and we had a lot of starters out. I expect some of those other guys to actually play in this game. So we'll probably have a little better barometer of where we are after this Browns game. Just one question before you guys get off here, just kind of a side note. Are you guys fans of joint practices or no?
I don't know. I watch.
As far as joint practices?
Yeah. Do you like the philosophy of joint practices, or are you against that?
Well, see, there's different rules when it comes to joint practices. Teams can't watch certain films of the joint practices, of like the the games and everything together. But practices, they can share films and everything. So as far as not bleeding that out to other teams, for the right price, I guess everything's for sale. I agree with it. Plus, you get to see some new blood. You don't have your same guys going up against each other that kind of know, okay, I know he's going to do this in this situation, or defense typically calls this play. This is a different team. They're built differently. They obviously have different egos and personalities. So I like this, but only for a week. I don't think this should be like an ongoing thing where, another team comes in next week and has a joint practice. But yes, I agree with it early in the preseason or preseason.
I'm iffy about it. Our guys are struggling to stay healthy as it is. And I watch Hard Knocks when the Texans were on it. And I watch Hopkins take this dude's Achilles tendon and pretty much bite it in half. So I don't really want any of our players getting hoed to the point where they get injured. So I mean, I'm cool if we don't have them, but I mean, if it makes us better, can't hate that.
Yeah, man, we'll have to see. It should be interesting. A lot of big personalities coming to town. OBJ, Baker, Ebron, I would say, is a big personality. So it may get a little bit hot and testy, but hopefully those guys keep each other in line. And guys, I want to just thank you so much again for coming on the show. I put on Twitter a couple weeks ago, who do you want to see on my show? And you guys came up in my DM. So it means a lot to me that you guys took time out of your busy schedules to get on here. And just once again, salute and thank you so much, and look forward to talking to you again.
No, thank you.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having
Absolutely.
us on. It's been great.
Next time.
Yep, see it.